Would a wide variety of small carnivores be enough to do a whole zoo? Building great enclosures for the dinosaurs. Paths. So for the park entrance, I decided to do a little plaza. Once I got a shape that I was sort of happy with, I started decorating. Our first building being an arrival point. Instantly I got on to decorating, so I added a fountain at the beginning. I added some planters around. I added a few lights around the plaza so when it gets dark people can still see. Of course, had to add the iconic statue.
Welcome to Jurassic.
Okay, we're not quite there yet. I added all the decorations and this plaza was finally done. Branching off from our main plaza, of course, we're going to need shops and toilets, so I did a little area dedicated for that. And I topped it off with decorations. I got on to outlining our first enclosure. Before doing anything else, I put a gyrosphere tour straight away. I started on the terrain of the new enclosure, lowering it down and sinking it just a little bit. And I did this throughout the middle of the enclosure. Then I put the gyrosphere through the enclosure. I added viewing galleries to boost guest attraction. Now onto the enclosure, I gave them a generous amount of water. Now giving them some forest. Now since these dinosaurs are carnivores, they're going to want plenty of meat. And this enclosure is done. We have the gyrosphere going round. We have a pool of water. We have multiple feeders. We have a nice forest area. So I think we're ready for our first dinosaur. Welcome into the park, the Dilophosaurus. Because being so small, I did a second round of Dilophosaurus. And already, our first Dilophosaurus in, guests are starting to flock in. Day 2. Straight away I started to expand the sausage path. So this teeny enclosure I'm filling with sand. Of course I will extend it later on. Gonna put a small body of water in. And a few small rocks around it. I went a bit overboard with rocks. Of course, we're going to want a viewing gallery in here. Here I am expanding the enclosure to give them more room and to also make sure the gyrosphere can go through. The compies. And now to add 10 more. And there we go, 20 compies seen by the viewing gallery and a gyrosphere. At the start of day 3, I ended up adding a smaller plaza with some other shops. We're gonna need restrooms and sadly an emergency shelter. We needed a new food stand and a new drink stand. Already plenty of guests have come to this park. A lot of them checking out the dinosaurs and a few where the amenities are. And even a family going to the hotel. Already we have 782 guests. Day 4 came pretty quickly. So we have a new enclosure. I added a viewing dome and then connected it to the path. I then added 2 other viewing galleries just to boost guest attraction. And our guests have slowly made their way to the other plaza. But now to add some new dinosaurs into this new enclosure. Welcome the Dinodocus. Of course, I have a second round of these as well. You cheeky bugger. And since our dinosaurs have come in, the guests are slowly making their way to come have a nosy. Day 5 I wanted to focus on the guests and the park. Our park is now fully wrapped around. Even with the dinosaurs we have now, our park's still doing pretty good. Our guest count has risen to 1161. I want to have a guest attraction. So I'm going to put a cinema down. Decided to do a little gift shop. And already the little gift shop pretty much full. How are our toilets doing for everyone? So we'll add another one here. And another one all the way over here. I added another guest attraction around the Dilophosaurus. This time with a fossil zone. And I also added a new food stand. I added a bit of decoration because it was looking a bit bare in this area. And you can see our guests are everywhere. At the start of day 6, my guests wanted more dinosaurs, so that's what I did. I added the appropriate viewing areas for my guests to be able to see the dinosaurs. I added the gyrosphere track around and added a body of water. Then I jotted some meat feeders around the enclosure. And this enclosure is done as well. Welcome the Proteatosaurus. It's a second pack as always. I added a variety of different shops to get my guests more interested in this area. Of course, they're going to want a new emergency shelter, so I'm going to give them 2. And because I don't want my guests to actually worry, I am trying to block it off a little bit. Now to obviously connect a path. And just jot some trees around. Then just do a fountain on either side. Actually, being in this area, we are going to have some supplies. So there we go. Of course, our guests are free to view the shelters, but let's just hope we don't need to actually use them. Day 7, we start with a new enclosure. Start with the water. So it's going to be right in the middle. Now with the forest, going to decorate the water around. I added some foliage around the enclosure. And a second pack of them. Here we are, our dinosaurs are happy with their new enclosure. But the guests are not so sure about coming over here. So I'm going to try improve this. Guest attractions. A mini golf course. Hoping to attract some guests. Just in case my guests were concerned about overcrowding, I added a second path to get around to see the viewing area and to get to that place. Day 8, we had a new enclosure ready. We added the gyrosphere track in the enclosure, then added a little body of water for the new dinosaurs. I added a small amount of trees into the enclosure, which I would regret later. Now into the park are our Troodons. My Troodons are now all happy with their enclosure. Took a while. But yeah, we have zip lines for the guests, a viewing gallery for the guests. Just over here I added a new gift shop because it was running low. Guests are slowly approaching this area. Day 9 came around. Here I'm decorating a new enclosure with water and forest. I jotted some feeders around. Now we could welcome the new dinosaurs. A pack of Coelophysis. And a second pack as well. So whilst they're getting used to their enclosure, of course our guests are going to need to come down here. Let's do some medium amenities. We'll need toilets. Now let's check how my dinos are doing. and they are completely okay. With our new additions, the park managed to get to 5 stars even though we're not finished. We have 2,212 guests. Now the last and personally my favourite dinosaur, the velociraptor. Here goes our second pack of velociraptors. Our velociraptors are happy in their enclosure. The people enjoying the view. So that's all the dinosaurs that we're adding to this park. Now of course we still have a lot of guests coming in. So we're going to want to do a little more just so the guests appreciate the park. Day 10, our final day. So all today I spent decorating the park. First I started with banners that light up the park. Then I added signs to the gyrosphere and put some decorations behind it. Still near the entrance I decided to decorate a bit of the plaza as well. I added an arcade for our guests. Okay, so this is our park. You can see there's many guests. So starting off, we have the beginning area. And we have a beautiful John Hammond statue. Moving over here, we have our plaza full of facilities like toilets, emergency shelter. We have a food stand, a drink stand, and of course, an amazing gift shop for our guests. And all around we decorated the area. And moving just along here, we do have a hotel in the distance with another set of toilets. Moving past this, we have the gyrosphere, which we will ride later on. But now, going near the Dilophosaurus enclosure, we have a set of toilets. We have some more amenities just for our guest satisfaction. And then we have the fossil zone attraction. Moving along, we have a few more attractions, like a drink stand, and a few decorative items around the Compies enclosure. We have a little bit of a plaza here, and now we're moving into it. And you can see there's many guests in our park. So the park is actually a success. We have many buildings around here as well. For our guest safety, we did emergency shelters and we blocked it off with some decoration, but they can still access it if need be. And there's a few supplies jotted around. But yeah, that's the supply area. Moving further into the park, we get to see a few more enclosures. Going back to the entrance, and here we can see the gyrosphere, which we will ride. So we are sat in the gyrosphere looking at the beautiful surroundings. Of course, I decided to add a lot of scenery before you get into the enclosure, since I wanted to make it look pretty. We have our old pal Sally with us today. And here we go, into the first enclosure, which is the famous Dilophosaurus. You can see one eating just at the side, and their famous calls. Now heading up this little bit of a hill to see some people looking in. This dinosaur is quite iconic because of the Jurassic Park films.
One of the earliest carnivores, we now know Dilophosaurus is actually poisonous, spitting its venom at its prey, causing blindness and eventually paralysis, allowing the carnivore to eat at its leisure. This makes Dilophosaurus a beautiful but deadly addition to the park.
Agreed. And that's why we have electric fences. But the poisonous part was just made up for the films. And we can see a Dilophosaurus crossing the track. Yes, Sally, I can see.
Our dilophosaurs are best known for their variegated neck frills, which fan outwards in a mesmerizing display of color as they prepare to attack.
Which is quite unfortunate because in real life they didn't have frills. They had a crest on their head, but they did not have frills. And now exiting this enclosure, now into a dense forest with a goat wandering across the track, and finally a dinosaur roaming its enclosure. And another one waking up from its slumber. And there the gates open. You can see a lot of gyrospheres. A lot of people are wanting to see the dinosaurs. And I don't blame them, they're beautiful.
Each dinosaur group you see in the park has a socially accepted leader. For some species, this leader is recognized as the group's alpha, but it may find itself being challenged regularly to retain its status. Proceratosaurus was first thought to be an ancestor of the late Jurassic carnivore Ceratosaurus, but has since been reclassified as an early member of the Tyrannosaur family, preceding the giant tyrannosaurs of the Cretaceous.
There is a Proceratosaurus in the distance.
The most defining feature of the Proceratosaurus is its brightly colored nasal crest, and the discovery of this attractive appendage has led to much discussion and deliberation between paleontologists.
We have the Troodons now. Oh, talking of the beast. And there's another one. The Troodon enclosure was actually one of the hardest ones because they kept wanting more forest. We have a few more hanging out over here.
The initial discovery of a single tooth gave Troodon its name, wounding tooth.
Enjoying its food.
Curved like those of a carnivore, but serrated like an herbivore's, the Troodon's teeth puzzled paleontologists for many years.
I'm not surprised, I'd be very confused as well. We have one Troodon going into the tall grass. And we learn never to trust tall grass. You can see overhead, there's a zip line that people are going on. We have a Troodon that's going to be in our way.
May be small, but they are daunting and deadly. Watching with its bewitching eyes, Troodon will strike with sickle-shaped claws and disarm its prey with a swift and venomous bite.
Now our Troodons are in the way. Another one in the way. Yes, Sally, you excited? Woohoo! Ooh, great opening. We have these guys now. The Herrerasaurus.
While many dinosaurs tower above us and others scamper below, the skilled hunter Herrerasaurus stands eye to eye with us humans. But hopefully, this is not a situation you will find yourself in.
We have a Herrerasaur blocking the path. Slowly moving its bum. Oh. Now we have goats around. And Herrerasaurs are wanting a meal.
You may well witness dinosaurs attempting to establish dominance while you are on this tour. While it can be worrying and distressing to witness, these standoffs are vitally important to the way these animals select an alpha.
We have a sleepy one. Good night. Sleep well. Oh, good night.
Despite possessing a great degree of speed and agility, Herrerasaurus is considered to be a rather primitive predator and was unlikely to have topped the food chain of Triassic Argentina. The gyrosphere is an amazing machine made possible by science. Your safety is our main concern, which is why you're behind our invisible barrier system.
There's our Coeliophysis. Blocking the track, as our dinosaurs like to do.
Many factors can influence a dinosaur's territorial comfort. It must be content with its environmental landscape, its social grouping, and the amount of space it shares with any species it perceives to be a threat.
Which is why I took the time to make sure all my dinosaurs were happy with the enclosure.
Velociraptor is a highly skilled hunter, armed
Now
with
on to my
weak
favourite
curved claws
dinosaurs.
that are perfect for pinning and slashing their prey. Through coordinated, carefully calculated attacks, raptors can take down large targets with exceptional efficiency.
I'm quite happy that velociraptors are so popular. However, the movies obviously paint them in a different light. They wasn't actually as tall as they are in the movies, but even so, regardless, they are still great dinosaurs. You can see to boost guest attraction, I also added a zip line. Oh!
If an animal begins to exhibit signs of territorial distress, it is important that we act fast and attempt to identify a feasible way to segregate
Oh, we've
the
just got
incompatible
nudged
species
by a
before conflict
velociraptor.
arises.
I guess she wasn't happy and wanted to go that way, and we was in her way. And now she's off for a hunt. We've got one following close near us. Oh, and now she's going for a rest. Beautiful. We successfully did a small carnivore only park. We got 5 stars. I guess we're loving it. And I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you in the next one.